I would say if you have all of these certifications of coaching or whatever qualifications you have them in something that's like a drop down. So just say sort of certifications and your drop down being the million things that you do so that people can see, but it's not like taking over your website.
Liz, a warm welcome to the Face Yoga Expert podcast and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you for having me back again.
I know, I'm excited to have you back here because we had such a successful and well-received podcast last time. And there's so much more that I know my audience want to hear from you because we really delved into lots of things to do with branding, particularly branding colours and website last time. So in many ways, this is a part two, but we're also going to really dive deep on some of the points as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. And also want to hear more about your website update.
Yes. Well, let's tell everyone about that. So, beginning of last year, so almost a year ago now, you did an amazing consultation for myself and my team all about the vision for our website. So, I knew that I wanted to work with you because you're so good at that greater vision and bringing my brand and my personal brand as well into the website. So, we knew our website needed a big overhaul and we knew that you would be step one. So you gave us these amazing guidelines. So everything from colours that we should be including to clothes I should be wearing in the photo shoots to layout of the website. And then my team got going building the website, which we didn't expect to take the best part of 10 months, but it did. Because actually we have quite a complex website because we have so many different courses and products and services. We moved it all across to a brand new platform. It wasn't just updating our old website, and we just put all of our new courses in a really great updated way. So it was worth making the changes. We made loads of changes on the back end as well as on the front end, which is what you helped us with. And it's out there now, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, and I think sometimes these things that you think won't take very long, they take a lot longer. Also because you're being very considered about what you are putting out there. So there might be some products that you sort of didn't take forward to the new site and you want to update new products as well. And also when you're busy and running a full-time business, trying to get a website done in that time as well is difficult, so it can take longer. But yeah, like I think that what happened when you came to me was that your branding, I don't know if we discussed it on the last episode, but it was, you knew that you'd always liked blues and that sort of thing, and you had this bright blue, bold color, and it just wasn't emanating the more luxury, peaceful, travel lifestyle brand that you wanted. So we changed up those colors there, made them a little softer, more elegant, I think, which is much more who you are. And it's not that the other colors were like bad, they just didn't reflect you. And I think when I did my branding, when I first started my business, I was younger, I was poppier and brighter, and I used to wear these really bold, vivid colors. And then 6 years later or 7 years later, from what my website looks like now, it's very different. But the core of it are these sort of pinky tones, but they're much more muted and softer now. So I think that's really nice when you can see the evolution. I think that's what happened with you, and it was more of an elegant font as well, and we added gold in there, and it just, I was so happy with what we did, and I love what you've created now. It looks really great.
It looks amazing, and thank you so much to you because you were really the start of that and and the vision of that, because I think sometimes it's hard yourself to really describe your brand and to really understand who you are and how people perceive you, because actually we know who we are and we know our manner of talking, and in my instant the way I dress or the way I would present or the way that I would teach or the connection I have with people, the community, like that all just comes from such a soul place for me. It's often hard to then translate that into words and say, okay, these are the words for my website. or these are the colors it should be. So what was really helpful was having you to actually say, okay, Danielle, this is what I perceive from everything you do, and this is how you need to bring it into your website. And I think that that's quite an important point actually for anyone that has got a website or would like a website. It's actually maybe starting to think, how would other people describe you? And how can you then bring that into your website? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so when I first start working with a client, one of the questions I will ask them is like, firstly, how do you want your clients to feel when they land on your website? So, you know, for instance, with me, I want my clients to feel like a sense of like happiness and calm and friendliness. So when they look at like my website, they think, oh, this woman looks really inviting and friendly, and like I want to work with her because I feel like she's trustworthy and kind. And so those are the sort of words that I would want my client to feel about my website, about me and my business. And also you can think about how would your friends describe you, or your family and things like this, or how would you describe you, or your clients. So sort of making like a little mind map or something where you jot down these words, and then what I do from there with my clients once you've done that is you just try and assimilate like word colors that go with those. So for instance, for me, like warm and friendly, I would do quite warm tonal colors. And also it's things as well. Like one of the things for me is I used to live in London in the city. So my branding back then was very different to now. And I now live in the countryside in the Cotswolds. And I really wanted to bring an essence of that into my branding. So I brought in this particular green, which I'd never used before. And it's like the Cotswolds green.
Yeah.
And I know we said we've spoken about this with your branding, is that, you're from Bath and you've got
Mm,
the lovely, Bath stone. And
yeah,
that's where we brought in some of the goldy tones are actually more sandy coloured.
yeah.
So that they go with the Cotswold stone, the Bath stone.
Stone, yeah,
So it's when you're doing that map, you create this thing of like, what do you want it to say about you? And it's all of these sort of words, but it's also about like we said, like our home and our habitat.
hmm
So if you are in the city, you might be thinking, well, I actually want some more, I want it to be quite slick
yeah,
and like quite graphic and lines like city like. And then, like immediately, if I said New York to you, you'd sort of have a vision
yeah,
of what that might look like. And for me, Cotswolds, like I feel it's quite cozy when I think of the Cotswolds, and that's how I want my branding to feel as well.
yeah,
So I have my photo shoot here, and I know you do lots of your photo shoots where you live.
yeah.
So that can massively encapsulate how, your website reflects who you are.
Absolutely. And for me, certainly, we thought, how can we bring Bath into it? And because I was born and raised in Devon by the sea, for me, those sort of like beachy vibes, so those sort of like, how can we bring in colours from the sea and the sand and like all of that as well? And like, I've got such a connection to the sea. I'm a Pisces, I'm a water sign. So it was just all of those parts and essences of me we brought in. And I also knew that I really wanted the colours to be really relaxing, really wellness based, really when people come to my website to actually feel a sense of real peace and calmness. And someone else listening to this might actually want someone to come to their website and feel really energized and invigorated. Or they might want to come to their website and just feel really grounded and like earthed almost, and using those sort of like earthy tones. So I think that that's a really nice way of thinking about it as well. And something which I love that you always say, and that's whether you're someone who wants like the New York vibe or the Cotswold vibes or the beach vibe or whatever, you really believe that it shouldn't be cluttered. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, that's really true. I think like design as it's come on in especially in recent years with the trends of things is that, and I think everybody knows this just in general now, is that people lose interest
hmm
really quickly, and like they get distracted. So I think a lot of the time when we're doing websites and when I speak to my clients, you kind of want it, you love what you do so much, you're so passionate. that you want to just write like these massive long things about about your experience. And sometimes when you're first beginning, you have a lot of imposter syndrome. So you really want to like, okay, well, I did this and I did this and I trained here, and you have like a million certifications. I would say if you have all of these certifications of coaching or whatever qualifications you have them in something that's like a drop down. So just say sort of certifications and your drop down being the million things that you do so that people can see, but it's not like taking over your website. And just don't have massive chunks of copy because you want to prove what you do. Just very much try and like position yourself as an expert in your field because you are an expert. You've done some training, you're a few steps ahead of somebody else, even if you're at the beginning, and you've got life expertise. Because all of us, you know, even if you're in your 20s, you've been studying this for a few years or it's just new, but you've got expertise in some other area. And just sort of position yourself in a few lines rather than like 5 paragraphs. Let people know what you do straight away from the beginning. So when I'm talking about, making things less cluttered, on your homepage, you don't want to do something fluffy on above the fold. So above the fold means before you start scrolling, you want to have like a sentence at the top that's either a question that makes somebody quite intrigued, like how, for me, I think I have at the moment, how would it be to have a brand that made you feel unstoppable? And then website and branding, and then I'm very clear about what I do after that. Or, my old one, we used to say photography, branding, and website design for female entrepreneurs. So straight away, they know what it is. Or like if it's a question that, has to do with your industry and they're excited and they want to learn more. But then you immediately have to tell them what you do in a very short, concise way. And then you sort of maybe list some of the problems and how you can solve them, talk about who you are, and your expertise, and then a call to action and the different ways to work with you. It doesn't need to be like super, super long, just very like bullet points almost everywhere that you are. On your about page, you can go into more depth in your services, but I would always say on the homepage, just like top line.
Yeah.
And when you write something, rewrite it and rewrite it until you've got something really short there.
I think that's such good advice because you can find, and I think you're right, it does often come from that imposter syndrome or wanting to prove something to people, or even just being super proud of everything you've achieved and just wanting to list it all. And there is a place for that for sure in the website, but it's not leading with that. It's not having a homepage with all these, like you say, long qualifications and long experience and long story. You can, like you say, do the drop down menus, or about page is a really good way to do that. What I've done now is broken my about page up into sections. So like about me, so that's more about my story and who I am, and then about face yoga, so that's actually what is face yoga, how does it work, about my team and about our trainers. So actually you've got sections, so it's not all together. And I do have some, it works much better. And I mean, I do have some longer pages, but they're much more about our courses. So like if you're going to go on to teach training, it's like a long page which is pretty much answering all your questions, but you've got options throughout just to go straight through to buy it, to stop yourself all the way through, which is a really good way of doing it. Because some people just want to know what the course is in a line or two, the price of it, and buy. But then actually you might want to go down further and read more. Okay, so what's all the modules in the course? Okay, you've got the option again to buy at the end of that. Okay, let's go through another bit now, which is really explaining like what you're going to get out of it and what you're going to achieve. And then there's a buy, and then there's FAQ, and then a buy again. So I think on our biggest course page, so like our most expensive products, so like our teacher training, we have 3 or 4 buy buttons. It's a longer page, but it's giving people that option. It's giving that journey. What people don't want to see, you're completely right in saying, is going on a website and just being bombarded by text. So actually in some ways it's about taking stuff away, really, isn't it, rather than adding more.
Yeah, 100%. And I think sales pages in recent times they have actually got shorter, but you have always got, when somebody's wanting to buy something, you have the people that lose interest and just want it there and then the people that want to read everything. And they just take a little longer to make a decision because they want to see are the people that have done it, what they've said about it, and they just want to be really clear. And I think that when it is a sales page, that's when it's okay to be longer. But I would suggest, there are lots of people in the online world at the moment that are doing cheaper products that are maybe like £27 or $27. I wouldn't do like a super, super long
Okay,
page for that.
agreed.
Um, I think I might sound hypocritical here because about 3 or 4 years ago, I created something like this and I made a really long page for it. And if I was doing it now, it would just be so short. It would be like a third of the size, but I'm not going to go back and change it. But I would say, yeah, if it's an expensive product, like you said, if it's £1,000 or something like that, then I would do something a bit longer.
Definitely. And you're right in saying with the shorter. So actually tomorrow, so by the time this podcast episode comes out, we're launching a brand new course. It's our cheapest course of all of them. So there's going to be an early bird price, but generally it'll be £21. So it's going to be, and the page about it is way short. It's super simple, to the point, just very quickly explains what's in each of your 8 videos that you're going to get. And that's it. Because actually that's all you need to know with a product that's about that much. So I think that's really important for anyone listening to actually think, how much it is investment. Is this a £600 product or is this a £6 product? And if it's a £6 product, actually you can only need a couple of paragraphs, if that. And if it's a £600 product, actually it's going to be more of a considered purchase for people for sure. And when it comes to sort of just making the whole website look professional, so again, whether it's someone that is literally about to start designing their very first website or they're looking to update a website they've already got, what's like easy, quick hacks just to make it look a little bit more professional?
Okay, so the first thing, if you want your website to look professional, your imagery has to look really good and spot on. I would not have blurry imagery or low pixelated images. So that's where, in website terms, this might be a little bit over some people's heads, but you have photo images that you print out are a 300 resolution. And then you have images for the website, which are 72 resolution. But if you've got an image that's this big and you put it on your website and you want it to like then fit to this size, it's just going to be way too like blurry. So you want to have something that's kind of quite a big image, but and don't try and scale it up. I would also suggest picking really nice stock imagery. If you don't have a photo shoot or something, I would try and make it so that all of your stock imagery, if you buy it, and you can download it or you can buy it from iStock. If you download it for free, there's websites called pexels.com and then unsplash.com. And try and pick something that's in a similar theme. So for instance, if you are um, doing something for your wellness business and you want nature to be the key, um, I wouldn't be putting like, okay, I'll have a beach in there, I'll have a forest in there. And I think it's okay to have sort of loads of different styles, but sometimes you'll find that the colors between them all might be quite jarring. So if you're going to go for like a lake view with water and then you're going to go for a forest, I would pick them so that like the lake has maybe got tones of green in that image, and then the forest has got tones of green, but maybe with a touch of blue in there as well. You don't want something that's like really harshly green, harshly blue, because sometimes when you're trying to collate all of these images, and if you looked at them and you printed them out, for instance, which you wouldn't do, but if you had them on a big document somewhere, and you can just see all of these colors don't blend well together. So try and pick stock imagery that all works in a very similar sort of tonal family. Um, and then I would also recommend if you're doing anything for like more corporate and you want to use corporate imagery, um, I would say, try and go on iStock. I've got some really great corporate shots. But you can get ones that have because I work with a lot of wellness brands and spiritual clients that are coaches. And if I'm ever looking for corporate stuff, when I'm going on the iStock thing, I'll go in there and I'll put um, corporates in workplace, sun streaming through. And then I'll have shots of them outside, and there's like some nature there, and there's like little beams of sunlight coming through. And then if that maybe is the theme, when I'm going on Splash looking for a free image of nature, I'll put trees, sunlight streaming through. So there's sort of like this little theme that's running throughout it. And then photos of yourself. So if you don't, you can't afford a photo shoot, I would not do a selfie.
Mhm.
I would see if a friend can, because iPhones are great at the moment. See if you can get a friend to take a photo of you. Make sure it's flattering, not taking underneath.
Mhm.
Make sure that light is facing you and it's not behind you, so that you're in shade and silhouette. So you want to have lovely sunlight on, well, not direct sunlight because that can be quite harsh, but so that the sun is facing you. And then just have one or two pictures if they are of you taking them yourself, and concentrate on getting really nice stock imagery that looks good quality. But I would recommend to everybody to get a photo shoot. You know, I do photo shoots. I'm on the higher end of the price point, because when I do it, it's also encapsulating your brand
Yeah.
and who you are. And I'm coming up with like where I'm looking at locations for you. I'm helping with like the scenes where we're going to shoot, what your brand means to you, what should be in stock, and all of that sort of stuff. Whereas if you're quite organized and you can decide what those all of those things yourself, then you can go to a local photographer. I think sometimes when it's not in season, you can also get like wedding photographers are really great at
Yeah.
just doing personal branding photo shoots, when they're in the off season. I think they're quite happy to charge low prices. Lots of people are now doing brand photo shoots. You can do a 2-hour photo shoot. You don't even need to do a day one. And just maybe go into a studio or something and get some nice headshots. But I just think that's super important,
Mm.
to get that. And yeah, like speaking of that, I actually worked with someone through you,
Mm.
Danielle. Someone came to me and she's like lovely. She's called Christiana. And when we were doing her photo shoot, she's really interested in nature and she came to the Cotswolds here and we did her shoot here. But also she's moved over from Cyprus, and one of the things that's really important for her was where she lives in Notting Hill. And she had a friend who does photography, and she took pictures of her in her favorite spots
Great.
in Notting Hill because that meant something to her. And we put those on her about page. So I'm sure we can talk about it in a minute, but I'd love to talk about like encouraging connection and stuff
Yes.
like that. Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do that now. Let's talk about community and connection on the website. Because I mean, something which I always talk about in my business coaching courses and when I'm doing face yoga teach training course with people is actually trying not to be everything to everyone. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we can make in business. We try and appeal to everyone, we try and market to the masses. And it doesn't mean we're not being inclusive. It just means what we should be doing is trying to actually narrow down who we're speaking to, who's our what I call soulmate client, who's our ideal client, and then everything we're doing talking to that person, or you can think of it as a group of people if that's easier. But I often encourage people I work with to think about almost like an avatar. And then when you do that, I feel like your voice can be so much more authentic, your marketing so much more authentic, and it starts to build that connection community. And I know you do a similar thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. And when you said that, it reminded me, I went to see Elizabeth Gilbert of Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic speak, and she was saying whenever she writes a book, she writes it to a friend. So she has like a friend in mind, and she's writing it to her.
Mhm.
And like, oh, Shirley, I don't know where Shirley came from, but would Shirley love this? Would she find this funny? Would she want to know about this? And I really like that. And that's exactly what I do with my work, because I work I, my clients really are people that I like and I want to be my friends,
Yeah.
really. I can become friends with a lot of my
I
clients.
love that.
So so I'm very spiritual and very woo. Now, some of my clients aren't at all. but we just get on a really friendly basis, and they might roll their eyes at some of my stuff. But generally they're kind of on the vibe of it, or they're like totally, in angel land or something, and
Yeah.
totally like yeah, I'm all down for it. But I like to enjoy working with my clients, and I would think a lot of your audience feel the same way. If they've got a business, they want to really like working with who they work with. So I think when you are encouraging, talking about encouraging connection. So on your about page, I've got one of my best friends is a copywriter, and we always have this sort of little argument back and forth. As copywriters, they're always saying your about page needs to speak to the audience. And we'd always sort of say this thing that's like the top of the about page would be about your audience and their problems and where they're coming from. And I do agree with that, but I think sometimes it can feel so markety,
Yeah.
where it's just like, hi, this is my about page, but really I'm just talking to you and it's not really about me. And I think that's a bit rubbish,
Yeah.
because I think your clients go to your about page because they want to know about you. So I generally start when I'm talking about mine, and this is what I do with my clients, I'll say, this is what I do, this is what I recommend for you. Is to have like a little snippet about you, just like your elevator picture for who you are. And, or like, for instance, I think I talk about that I used my old job, which was being an ex-fashion designer, what I love doing now, that I love sunsets and dad jokes. And I used to, in running, who knew, even though I don't run that much anymore. And then I start talking about, my passion is to help women create soul aligned, intuitive brands and websites. And that is like what I absolutely love doing. But it's speaking to those people. And then I talk about who this type of people that I'm helping. And then I talk about my story. So then I talk about my journey and how I got to be where I am now. And I always find that so fascinating. And that's where you're encouraging the connection, because if you're talking about your journey, there might be some parts of that where they connect with it. It might be, I went through a divorce, I found myself a single mum, and I just wanted to do something like this. And then I took up running, and then I decided I wanted to create a running apparel brand for like blah, 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 or whatever that is. And I had one client who was, she worked with essential oils quite a lot, and aromatherapy. And she was in like a band with a husband and two kids. And I just thought that was so interesting. And
That's
I
so
thought, if you put that in there, she wasn't going to put it in. And I thought somebody will read that and
cool.
feel a connection to it.
Yeah.
And I always love on my about page, I have like a few little um notes about myself, like little funny fun facts. And I think it's I'm also, like sometimes I've been on and off dating apps, over the years or whatever. And when you're on these dating apps, you see these little prompts, and it's a way to engage talk and like a connection with somebody. So for instance, I put on there that I'm called to greet. I've got an obsession with condiments, particularly balsamic vinegar. And just small little things, or like me saying I'm not cool, but that's fine. I always thought I wanted to be cool, but actually I realized I'm really cheesy, and I own that.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff that people can connect with you. And I think that's really important in the industries that we're in. I think big companies maybe don't need it if you're in the corporate world, but I think for the sort of work that you and I are doing, and your audience will be interested. I think that works really well.
It works so well. I'm completely on board with that as well. And it does take a little bit of vulnerability to do that. It really does actually. And I've done the same thing on my about page. There's little random facts about me, I'm obsessed by raspberries and dark chocolate. And, I just say my sun, moon, and rising sign, just like little random things, I'm obsessed by the sea. And I just talk about different things throughout because I think actually that's really important. I love watching The Real Housewives. You know what I mean? There's all these like little random things. Some of them you'd expect about me, some of them you wouldn't. And it's not necessarily because someone coming to my website is going to go, oh, I also love dark chocolate raspberries, the sea, and the Real Housewives. They're not necessarily going to say that, but they're going to say, I know Danielle now. I know more about her, and building up this holistic picture of me. And then that helps them better decide, is my course something they want to do? And, is my book something they want to read? Because they're starting to understand who I am. And I've allowed myself to be vulnerable as well and say, yeah, look, I love watching reality TV, and I eat chocolate every day. And like these type of things just says, okay, you're just a real human too, just like I am. And I think that's so important. And you probably will have people also that go, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm obsessed by the sea too. I need to be by water in order to feel myself. And as soon as I saw that, I knew that I wanted to work with you. So you'll get that too. So it doesn't even need to be anything that's thought out too much or contrived. I think just, even use a few little like tick lists, what is your favorite food? Where's your favorite place to be? What's your favorite TV show? Like, where do you feel you're happiest? Maybe just ask yourself those questions, and whatever the first answer intuitively comes up, put that in there. Because I think soon as we start to overthink it, we're starting to second guess what people might think of us if we put that in there. So I think that's so important as well. But it is about just creating an overall vibe as well. And as I said, not trying to be sort of everything to everyone.
No,
Is there
just
anything
being
else?
yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. Being yourself. Yeah. Is there anything else that you think would just help someone who's just wanting to either start their website or just elevate their website? Anything else that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I think the cluttering thing is really important and
Yeah.
keeping things clean. I would also say when you are thinking about your colors, I personally think it's good to just sort of keep things quite simple with your colors. I use Squarespace as my platform because I think it's a really easy platform to use. And the colors, you only get 5 colors to pick from, and you can add more like manually, but it's really great that you have these 5 core colors. And really, it's only really 3. So you have like the really light color, which is your white or a really light neutral. And then you have, which is a lot of the background colors within the website. And then you have black or a really dark color, which forms the font color. And then you have 3 other colors. And I think that it's always good just to have like 1 to 3 core colors that you have. And then if you're using something like Canva, which is a really great tool to use to create graphics for your social media or for pitch decks or workshops or anything like that, what you can then do is if you have, for instance, I have like a muddy pinky brown color, then what you should do is you can have lots of different tones of that color. So I would just say on your website, keep it quite simple. And then on social media, you can just do variant tones of that. But don't be having yellow, blue, green, red, pink, orange. I mean, sometimes it might work, but very rarely does it. So I would just keep the colors on your website and the backgrounds very simple. That's what I would say.
I completely agree. And how do you think that people can then make decision on clothes that they're going to wear? For example, if they're going to do a photo shoot, because what you so beautifully did for me is gave me the core colours of my website, some complementary colours, and then you gave me a palette of clothes that I should wear on photo shoots. Now I try and do a photo shoot at least every 6 months, sometimes every 2 to 3 months, just to keep things fresh and updated. And there were photos I was able to pull out, which were in that palette you gave me from previous photo shoots. But every photo shoot I've done since, I think I did 2 or 3 last year, I made sure I was wearing those colours. So I was literally going through my wardrobe with the palette you gave me, going, right, that fits, and new stuff I was getting, I was making sure that fits as well. So anyone that doesn't have an amazing Liz helping them out, is there a way that they can then think, okay, so how am I going to pick colours for my photo shoot, or sort of start to create pictures they've had taken in the past and start using those on their website?
Yeah, well, this is a really good point. And I think that it's something because I worked in fashion. that's so intuitive for me. And I just, sometimes you're like, why do people not understand this? And when we did work together, I was like, well, here's your thing. And you went, no, can you be more specific?
I needed that. Yeah.
Wanted something super specific. And
Yeah.
when I'm thinking about Christiana, when we worked together, she was like, I don't know what to do with my clothes. What should I wear? So when I'm saying that you've got these 5 colors, say on Squarespace that they give you, and you have the dark color, the black or the blue or whatever dark color it is, really dark green, then you've got the white neutral color. Then you've got your colors in between. So the colors in between for you would be blues and greens, okay? And when I was spoke to you and I saw your blues and greens that you were wearing on your shoots, they sort of clashed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what you can do, so say for instance, if blue and green is your colorway, I would Google or go on Pinterest and say blue and green outfits together and look at the sort of colors that they're giving you because some blues and greens just don't go well together. And you need to just sort of see what people, because I can't tell you through this video what would work together. So you do need to see a visual representation, and Pinterest is great for doing that. And then, so say for instance with Christiana, she's got a yellow in there. Now I wouldn't recommend that she has loads of yellows in her clothing, but if she had quite neutral color palette, and that's what I would always say to you as well, keep your neutrals, and a black can be a neutral, but don't wear
Yeah.
too much of it. Like have your neutral like cream jumpers or like a cream blouse, like maybe neutral trousers or a black trouser or a jean. Um, and then have your like a core color that's just like one yellow jumper. Or for instance, what we did with her, she had one yellow jumper, and then she had some headbands that had the color
Great.
in it, or we had like one cushion and on the sofa that was full of neutral colors, but there was this one yellow cushion. So we sat that at the other end of the sofa, and where she had the yellow jumper on and so because you don't want the yellow jumper and the yellow cushion together, you want it spaced out a little bit. Um, so if your color is a strong, bold red or orange or something that's quite vibrant or pink, I would suggest just you could either do it with some little accessory bits or like just 1 or 2 pieces in your look. Say if you're going to do a shoot and you've got 6 looks, just have it in 2 of the outfits and then just have quite neutral things. And then say if pink is your thing, you could have some cushions if you were doing it at a studio shoot, or you could have like some pink shoes or something like that. Because it also depends. This is like when I'm talking with a client about the shoot, is where they're going to shoot it. So if you're going to shoot it that's somewhere very neutral, then you can put more of the color into your outfits. If you're going to shoot it somewhere that's like very bold backgrounds that are in your color palette, then you should wear more of a neutral
Yeah.
base clothing. And then also you also, sorry, this is a lot of information, everybody.
It's great.
But there is also if you have your website and you actually want background colors of your banners on the website to be bright pink, or you're going to have buttons, then your clothing doesn't need to be in your brand colors at all. They could all just be neutral. The background of the house could be neutral, but then you've got pops of color in like, you've got a big block shape that's one color and you've got white writing over the top of it. So you can bring your colors in that way. So there's like three different things. So it's either neutral background, photo shoot with bright colors in your wardrobe, bright background with neutral wardrobe,
Mhm.
or neutral everything on your photo shoot and then bring the colors through on the website. So there's like 3 different ways that you could do it.
That's amazing. No, that's perfect. And do you know what? I feel like for anyone about to go and have a photo shoot, almost the third option is the easiest because what you can then do is you can just say, okay, I'm doing a neutral color palette. So I can do, my black, white, creams, grays, camel colors, like all of those really neutrally colors. And then it's going to go with whatever I've got on my website anyway. So I think that's a really great idea. And the mistake I used to make, because blues and greens are my color palette for my website, and they still are. We've changed them slightly, but that they still are. I used to only wear blue and green on my photo shoots. Whereas what I do now is I've got all the colours you suggested for clothes. A lot of those are the neutrals. You know, we've got a bit of denim in there. We've got a little bit of very pale pink in there as well. We've got a little bit of the light blue. We've got one of the darker greens in there as well. But I'd probably say 90% of the clothes I'm wearing on a photo shoot are more in the neutral colour palette, because then we can actually, we know we've got, like, you know, the blue bits and we've got the gold bits on the website and everything, so it just blends in really, really nicely. So I think it's easy to think, I think what, and I think that's probably what a lot of people do. They go, okay, my colours are red and black. Okay, so I'm only wearing red and black in every photo shoot. Whereas actually, you could go and do just beautiful creams and whites in your photo shoot and have, like you say, red and black in your, you know, in your tabs, in your banners, in whatever you're using there.
I will just say one thing as well, because I think as a lot of my clients, you know, and as women, I think, you know, and I've had quite a few clients recently, you know, when we're all like, oh, I'm at my biggest weight, I don't want to have a photo shoot, I don't want to do this. Um, if you're feeling like that and you're like, oh God, I don't have any of these clothes, the only things that I like are black or something, you know, and I get that. But I would suggest for, you know, a lot of fashion stylists, when they go and do photo shoots, they buy the clothes and then they return them. So when I did my shoot, I bought, I probably at the time, because I was changing my wardrobe at the time because I had lost a bit of weight, but I had like a few cashmere jumpers and I returned those, but like it was just the look that I wanted. So I would say, you know, you only need to buy two or three things if you're just doing a 2 hour shoot or something. But I would suggest you just buying some neutral stuff. I know that you might be thinking, oh, well, only blues suit me or neutrals don't suit me. You know, some sort of neutral will suit you. It might not be white, it might not be grey, but it might be something along those lines. And yeah, just go out there and just, you know, just spend a day. It's important for your website to look great and your photo shoots and stuff. So go and buy these pieces. And also, you know, it's nice to wear when you're with your clients. I was going to say, some people do just wear really bright colors, and I will also say this is kind of like the wild card. If you do wear loads of bright colors, just wear those in the shoot but have a very neutral background when you are doing. And sometimes I've just done something with a client and she's got some pieces that are quite bold, but because the photo shoot, it didn't feel like it dominated the space, and it didn't, you know, some of it was in a print or something, and it just felt okay. Generally, I don't say people should wear prints on shoots because it becomes too synonymous with, um, you know, that brand, and you kind of can't shift away from it. But I think if it's something that's not too in your face or noticeable, then I think it's fine.
Love that.
You know, there's no direct thing, and also if somebody is really struggling with this that's listening to you, and I've maybe actually put more of the fear of God into them about this, then do just get in touch with me. Send me an email and we can do a consultation or something, and I can help you with what to be wearing for your shoot and stuff if you do need some help.
Thank you, Liz. And on that note, will you share where people can find out more about you?
Yeah, so it's elizabethellery.com. And if you go to, I think it's Hire Me or Website Design, you can see my package there. You can go to at Elizabeth_Ellery on Instagram. And I think I'm Liz Ellery on Facebook. And yeah, so like my main packages are my bigger package, which is all about intuitive branding and website design. And we go through who you are, and we've got like questionnaires, and I get to know you. And it's like a 2 week process that we get you to do some Pinterest boards and, you know, get really excited and inspiration stuff. And then I'll take 2 weeks to design your website and your brand. And I do all of the assets like Instagram imagery, things like if you're doing a pitch deck or workshop PDFs and or like a freebie opt-in, all of that sort of stuff. And then I do consultations like I did with you, where I help you what your brand should be like, or anything that you're struggling with. Maybe you've got a website and you just want an uplift, but you don't want to necessarily hire me to do the website. I can give you lots of tips. I also have templates. So if you want a website, Squarespace templates or any template from website builders that you're more familiar or comfortable with are a really great way to build professional looking websites in your industry. So I work predominantly with wellness. A lot of yoga teachers buy my templates, or coaches. So you can, if you're listening to this and you're maybe a dog walker, you can do dog walking website templates. And you'll actually, when you Google your profession and then template, it will come up with loads of templates. And usually in the templates, they give you prompts and like imagery, suggested imagery. And that's a really great way for you to sort of think, oh, okay, so I need to fill this sort of thing in about what I do here. And it's all related to, yeah, your profession. And then also I offer a service where I sort of help you with the branding and the colours for your template and uploading the imagery and the text as well. So that's how I can help you.
Oh, amazing, Liz. Thank you so much. I know this is going to be so helpful for so many people. Thank you again.